Good morning, 7 a.m, the 1st of July here today. It's a month since I've done a post. I've been quite busy. I took a part-time job on doing the buying for a new garden centre that's opened up in the north, and I've spent a little bit extra time down there, so my finger was off the pulse a little bit here. Some things are going well, some aren't doing so well, but never mind, we'll take a look at everything and we'll just see how things are progressing. I have had loads and loads of questions in the last month. People who are getting problems. This is the time of the year that you'll get your problems. First one, what's causing leaks running to seed? Well, you can guarantee it's either a cold, definitely a check to the plant if it's premature. A leak is a biennial, and it should go a two-year cycle before it reproduces itself. If it goes in the first year, it's definitely had a check. That check would either have been cold in the early stages, by which time it would go to seed now. It could be heat stress, which is just as bad, or it could be drought. Drought is probably the worst of the lot, and that will definitely send them to seed. I was up at some gardens yesterday in a set of allotments, and I went to see one lad, and all the allotment lads gave me a shout. You take a look at mine, take a look at this. The entire set of allotments are wiped out with stem phyllium. Now, a lot of people may not be familiar with stem phyllium. Its common name is leaf blotch or leaf blight. It's a terrible disease. Just came into this country about probably 10 to 15 years ago, but it's certainly not a good one. Fungicides and BioLift initially get your beds in good health. Get as much biology as you can in to try and counteract this. We do have a talk coming up in a week's time, and I have a specialist on biology coming up to give us some good advice and tell us all about it. So hopefully we'll get some, satisfaction from that. Also, a lot of people are starting to have problems with allium leaf miner. Now, I first seen this down at John Brannan's place about 3 or 4 years ago. I hadn't seen it before. It has been around the world, but just come to this country again in the last possibly 10 years or so. I've done a bit of research, and again we'll be talking about that up at the talking that we have. There are a few chemicals, but they are the dodgy ones, so you've got to be very careful. And DEFRA are now clamping down on chemicals, so basically watch out what you're spraying with, lads. Just a quick warning. Right, before we start having a quick look around, I've been meaning to show you the last 2 or 3 times. I put some onion rings on, and I just made them myself. All this is hep pipe. It's 15mm hep pipe, and it's cut into, well, this is the last little piece. I have been using 3-foot lengths, and I've been bending it round and connecting it with a 15mm, as you can see, just a little brass coupling. So this one's a bit shorter. It's probably 2'6". It'll be a little bit more difficult to bend, but basically just bend it into itself and slot it in, and there we have an ideal onion ring. That's great. You can make them any size you want. So I've got quite a few, but I have on the onions, just within the last week, I've been taking these onion rings away from the plants. They've all got good foliage, and they're standing up quite well. I've had 1 or 2 mishaps in there with seeding, but we'll take a look as we go through. This time of year, I'm getting lots of phone calls. When should I start wrapping the leeks up or banking the leeks up to get them nice and white? This is the pot leeks. My blanch leeks are already blanched, as we'll see. A lot of people say, what do you use to actually blanch with? Soil's as good as anything. You can bring the soil up, but with me growing on black and white polythene, I can't use soil. I can't get my hands into it. So basically, I wrap mine. And what I do, this is a black fabric that I buy. It is stretchy, if we can see that. So it's perfect for the plant, because as the plant grows, it stretches with the plant. It just bought off the market stalls. This was bought at Chelsea Street Market. And what I've done, it comes in a roll 60 inches wide. You buy as much off the roll as you want. You can buy it by the metre. But basically, I bought a fair bit that was left on the roll, and I've cut them into 6-inch wide strips by 30 inches long. I'm not saying my leeks are going to be 30 inches, but I want a good wrap around to make sure that they turn white. So I've done 2 on the plants already, so we'll see it when we go in. So that's what I use. Some people use capillary matting. It's good, it works. All I will say is be careful, because capillary matting holds moisture, but it actually draws moisture out of the plant as well. And you may drop 1 or 2 flags that you don't want to. So, you know, it can be a problem. Keep up your spray regime. Be very careful with watering going forward, because a lot of people have got really big plants. Within the last fortnight, I've seen some absolutely superb leek plants in people's gardens. Several growers who are all known top growers, but really good plants. If everything goes according to plan this year, there's going to be some cracking stuff on the benches in September, late August and September. I'm going to take the camera off its holster and we'll have a quick look around. Right, I'll just move through into the... First of all, we'll take a look at the stock. Turn the camera around. Right, this is the Stockhouse. First of all, we'll talk about the tomatoes. This was seed that I kept from Maisie. I didn't get the new seed. This year I will. Medwin's promised me. But never mind, I've set these away. This is my own seed. To be honest, it's not coming as good as last year's plants. Yes, they're reasonable plants and the tomatoes are starting to form quite nicely. We'll end up and make a decision at the end of the year, but I do feel that I need to get back to some proper stock of it. Some heads just starting to come. This is the way they start. They'll start to break open and flower. A little bit of grass starting to come out here. These are Cumbrian. This is a new leek which I bred like 2 years ago. And this is the first year grass from the head. They're coming away very nicely. This is a new leek which I bred last year. It was a seedling from a blanch leek, but it made a superb pot leek. And to be honest, it's a one I'm very excited about. It was an absolute smashing leek, and I can see it being a really good one for the future. But I'm not 100% happy with the head. I don't like getting big grass like this. But because it's such a good leek, I will set this. I'm not going to lose it. But I may just stop it all, not let any go out. But I am getting a small sucker starting to appear now. It's 2-year-old this. And I am hoping that that produces a small head with finer grass. There was a second seedling that I grew alongside it, which was also a very nice leek. But this one was the best. But this one was another very nice leek. And it's produced a much better head. It's just starting to open. It's full of seed there. So later on I will remove that to try and get some grass on that one. So that's 2 new prospects for next year. Moving along, the blanch leeks. If you remember, I bred a lot of new blanch leeks last year. I had 6 which I put back to seed, which were looking, well, exceptional to be honest. And I did mark them, put them down. They haven't performed well for me over winter, I've got to be honest. And I'll show you all my other heads. They've come beautiful, but this is just the new ones. This is one blanch leek. It was a very good leek. I had it marked number 3. It come up and it produced that on the top. No head, just a blind head. Number 2 did exactly the same. Produced a head and just dried off. Number 3, well, number 1 should I say, this was my best leek. This was a beautiful seedling, and I am hoping that this is going to produce something very good. It's very big, it's outstripping the rest at the moment. It's a cracking head, and again, it's full of seed and just showing signs of grass. So that's a new blanch leek I'll have for next year, and I'm looking forward to growing it, I must be honest. These are the normal heads that we see. This is a blanch leek head. This is the RMG. It's a good leek. It's I think they'll win a few shows this year. And moving on behind, we move into the general pot leek heads. They're starting to come well. I've got heads all along. Along here, you'll see all the foxglove. That's for the bees. I've got the 2 beehives here now with about 60,000 bees in. Heads popping up all the way through. These are all king pods. All these heads that we're seeing all the way through. These are actually 3-year-old. Producing heads again. Same again here. King pods to here. And then we've got our normal stock. This is the DN1 for stock for future years. Moving along. DN2. Stock for future years. I had a few spare onions after I'd finished planting out, so I just stuck them into 5-litre pots, and they've all made nice onions. all ticking along somewhere in the region of about 15 inches. And they're just in John and his compost. They're doing quite well. Virus free for future years, more foxgloves. Right, we'll move through. There's the beehive, that's one of them. It's rained all night and it's quite, well, it's a mild morning. They're just starting to pop out there. You can see the entrance hole. They just wake up this time in the morning. If the sun comes out and it's a nice day, we'll see hundreds out. Right, the onion heads. You see the pollen on there. Looking good. There's a bee working there already. Bees up on that one. There's heads all the way along here. I do see quite a few onions. As you can see, I'll take hoverflies or anything, but the bees are the main thing that I'm looking for. There's some beautiful heads in here, really nice big heads. There's another bee working there. Yeah, the bees are flying around here, as we can see. As I say, they're just waking up. Still early days, but all the way along here, I've got plenty of heads for. If you can see them all there, there's quite a few heads. And as I say, the bees are flying in and out. I always get great germination and really big seed because of all the bees that we have. Blanchleek heads again, moving along here. These are all blanchleeks. There's quite a few, as you can see, and then I have a lot of heads up at another place. There's some producing grass straight away, which I normally don't like to see, to be honest with you. Never mind, that's the stock plants. Again, some more onions on this side. And for growing in pots, they're all doing quite well, to be honest. They've been cleaned up. I don't spray on this end because of the bees. I try not to disturb the bees. So these are left to their own device. Right, moving through. This was the bed of onions which I planted early on. Some decent plants went in here and some not so decent plants. So I have had about 5 gone to seed on me. I think there's 24 onions in here. So we'll just take a look. These are the very late set that I had, and they've come away quite well. I'm quite happy with them. Still producing nice tops on them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 flutes on that particular onion. They're all fairly similar. And these were set after Christmas, so they're not so bad. No lights at all. And I have taken the framework off, but I have got the Blanchleek bars running through, so they can it helps to keep them upright. We'll just take a walk along and have a look. This one, I have it's here. A dripper coming from the guttering, and it's been dripping onto these 2 onions here, and too much water hasn't helped them. So as we can see, there's some nice onions popping up there, all nice all the way along. Fairly big one. These are shaping up well. As we get along, some of the earlier ones that I had have ran to seed. Now I was going to destroy these heads. I have plenty of seed, so I certainly don't need to use any first year heads. But what I've decided to do, this one's a very nice onion. That's actually 22 inches around. Nice shaped onion. Centre still coming out. But the one next to it was another nice onion, but it's produced a seed head. It's bent over and it's gone right along to here. And there it is. So I've actually got, well, there's 5, but I've already snapped a couple off. So there's 3 big heads, and I'll probably shave those, and I'm going to try and produce pips on these. That's a nice onion. There's another one, that's a big onion. It's over 22 inches around. Nice high neck on it. So that's sound. The seed head is coming from the onion beyond that and lying over. So that's the onions state of play. Keep them clean, keep them skinned down as they split any skins. Intermediate leeks are looking very good. I've just put the collars on maybe a week to 10 days ago. But these are around about 9 inches around, and at the moment sitting 10 inches long. So they're looking fair. But this little one, which is Mick Cook's, unfortunately they've started going by the way. I've already pulled one out. There's another one going to get pulled out, and they're just not performing well. So it's one I will discard. The Blanchleeks, these are all just Pendle. They were the later set Pendle, and they weren't big when I planted them, but they are motoring on now. I had a friend down the other day. We stripped a couple down, and they were 8.5 by 14.5. So they're making some decent size, and they're starting to grow very hard. So I'm more than happy with those. I don't think I'm going to get much more length. I maybe get 16 inches if I'm lucky. Moving into the pot leeks, a little bit of a mixed bag in here. Right, we've got Betty Black. I never seem to do very well with the Betty Black. Get a lot of this silver streak in the leaf. It's in one or two plants. However, they're okay. I put these in just for heavyweights. Having said that, I've got other leeks I think will pass them for heavyweights. Right, moving on here. These are transplants. Any plants that weren't growing well in the earlier stages, I pulled out and replanted with something different. That's one. That's another transplant. That's a blue. It was two blues that I replaced there. And then I was telling you about the wraps, just to show you what we do. Just put the wrap around. It goes around twice, and just tie with a little wire. Now you can see there's a bit scarlet flying around there. The little gnat flies. These are a bit of a bugger actually. And I spray regular in this end for thrip and red spider. And I was right on top of it, and quite happy to be so. And I'm still getting marks on the plants. Jackie Stewart was up yesterday and had a look around, and he said, oh, you've got quite a few marks on. He says, from the scarlet fly. And I says, well, the scarlet fly, it shouldn't be marks off that. I think it's thrip. He says, are you not spraying? I says, yeah, I'm spraying regular for thrip. He said, I'm certain it's a scarlet fly that's creating this problem. He says, they do eat decaying matter, but if you haven't got any decaying matter, he says, they'll certainly feed on healthy plants. And we stood and watched for quite a while, and sure enough, the scarlet fly were landing on the leaf. They have a tiny little hook on the tail, and they were scratching the surface and then eating it off, and they created these marks. And scarlet fly are very, very difficult to get rid of. The sprays that we're using for thrip don't work on scarlet fly. Hence, I've got a few marks on a few of the leeks. So, a good tip for people: watch out what you're doing. But well, never mind. They're marked, and there's nothing I can do about it. I am spraying again now. I'm going to have to research what we can use for scarlet fly. I bought something called Dimmelin, but it's not working the way I would hoped. Right, these are DN2, and they're shaping up well. Possibly a little bit on the large side. It's a nice leek. These are 15, possibly 16 inches around, and I think that maybe is a bit too big for the current time. But they are nice looking leeks, and it's a one for the future. Dennis didn't have a lot of heads on it, and basically we had to set the heads when they were ready to be taken. But if we can get this leek and set it at the right time, and now I know it's a very vigorous leek, put less fertilizer in the beds, I think this will make a really good leek for the future. So at the moment, these are currently 15 to 16 inches around. Moving on to my new one, I've seen some absolutely superb leeks of this variety in 3 different gardens who I dished it out to, and they all are banking on it. Hopefully it'll come to fruition. This was a GSN seedling, and they are looking quite good. Unfortunately, I did get some damage from the marks that I'm on about, the little white marks, as you can see on the base there. But these leeks at the moment are sat around about the 14-inch mark. But I think this is definitely going to be a leek for the future. It's a superb quality, very straight, and it's beautiful. And if you can keep it clean, which the other lads have done, it could be a real winner, this one. They are looking very nice, and I'm very happy with them. Superb. These are pretty nice all the way along. I have pulled a couple of GSN out. 2 holes there. They are splitting on me. It's a bad leak for that, but it has produced as I say, the seedling that's in the same bed. Moving around, we look at the DN1. These leeks were quite large when I planted them, but they were very long, and I had to strip them right down. If you remember, I took about 7. Some actually had 8 flags removed. But what we see now is the plant, which is nice and short, but they have got a big step on them. So whether or not that's a transplant, and there's another one just beyond it there, that's a transplant. But as we move along, you can see, I mean, at the moment they are short. These are around 14 inches, around 14 and a half. And I'm hoping they're going to be some really good plants amongst them. I was at a friend's yesterday, and he had some 16 to 17 inches around these, which he got from me off the same head as these were. So it's a very vigorous leek. Obviously, I removed a lot. So we hope to see it on the bench. It'll certainly make a heavyweight because it's a beautiful leek. We counted some of the flags here. Alan Stockhouse counted the other day, and these are sat with 32 flags on at the moment. And if you remember, I did remove 7 from them. So it's going to be a leek to be watched out for in the future. Everyone who's grown it wants it again, and a few people who've seen them, they are saying, yeah, they want to include it in their growing collection for future years. But again, it is a cracking leek. These are nice and short at the moment because I did strip them. I only hope that the step on them is not too big. They look very nice. Moving on to this side, these are the virus-free. They've come nice. These ones, there's one replacement there. That's a transplant. But these leeks, the first 6 in the bed, they were from the laboratory. And they do need to be sorted when they come from the laboratory. They don't all come exactly the way they should, but we need to select them. So up to this plant, and as you can see, this one is spun completely around in the bed. It's a big leek. That will be 17 inches around. But that's not one that I would probably keep for seed. Moving on to the next batch, all the way along here. These are all from my own grass from 2 years ago. These are the first heads that I've had from the virus-free, and they're coming very, very nice. The Cumbrian is a late growing leek. In the early stages, it doesn't look good. As it starts to mature, it gets better. And these are actually getting better. I can see a difference in the last 2 to 3 weeks. They're starting to broaden in the flag. The new foliage that's coming out is quite broad, and they're looking very nice. So these are looking good. At the moment, these are 13 to 14 inches around, and I'm more than happy with that. So they're looking very good. There are a few marks on them. I can't do anything about it. They're on, and once the mark's on, you can't get rid of it. So over the next week or two, I will be putting wraps on these to get them up the length. If we remember this end, these particular leeks had collars on them in the greenhouse in the early stages, and I pulled them up to 4 inches before I planted them. Once they were planted, they popped their buttons and dropped back down. It's just typical of the Cumbrian, and at the moment they're sat fairly short, but there is a little bit of lift there, so hopefully I'll get some length on before the shows come around. As I say, they've got about 8 weeks to go before they start getting put on the bench. Where are we? Right, that's just more or less an update. Cucumbers are growing very well. We've had quite a few off. The tomatoes up the top, all the other varieties are growing. We've been picking cucumbers for a while. We've been getting lettuce out the top greenhouse. All the peppers are growing well, but I'm ready for breakfast, so I'm going to knock off now and go up and get some breakfast. Thanks a lot now. We'll speak to you all soon. Bye-bye now.